Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It is about 9 o'clock on Sunday evening. I apologize for once again the delay. I have had massive computer problems, so I have been running around starting yesterday afternoon and this morning to put together an entirely new system. And this video is not being done on that system yet. So I thought I could get it up and running, but I'm going to be on this. Basically, I think my computer is dying. Something on the motherboard. I'm getting hardware faults from time to time, multiple times per day. That won't do. So let's take a look at the weekly review for the week that ended the end of November. So anyway, before we get started, I need to remind you as always that the website and the video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in this video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research, and you need to make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. Even if I knew what that was, I'm still not a licensed financial professional. Honest to goodness, I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. Okay, starting out here on a 30-minute chart. This is going to give us our opportunity to take a little bit look at what has been going on kind of in the intermediate picture. And the thing that I want to show you here is this channel that is bounded by this top resistance line, which is now broken, and this lower support line, which broke. Now remember the old thing that we've talked about a number of times over the past couple of years, and that is when you have a descending channel, which this was, and you have a breakdown where the market goes underneath your descending support line, that is often a sign that things are going to turn around. Because what is this? This is the last sellers in the market, those who just at the kind of the tail end of this downward channel, just saying forget about it. I can't take this pain, or I'm afraid the markets are going to go lower. So you get this, instead of this controlled motion where you're between these channel lines, all of a sudden you get this swoon as usually the last of the sellers kind of bail. So it looked to me, I think I mentioned that this is a sign of capitulation. Now it's not long-term capitulation. It may be very short-term capitulation, but capitulation nonetheless, because as you can see, we then made an inverted head and shoulders pattern that is pretty much contained inside these channel lines. We came up to this top line, broke out, back tested, got hung up once again at that neckline area from our larger head and shoulders pattern. Show you, there it is, left shoulder, head, truncated right shoulder, and that truncated right shoulder still gives me a little bit of concern. We'll talk about that. But anyway, right now I'm thinking this inverted head and shoulders pattern is going to do what we would expect it to do, and that is take the market on up to the mid 1430s. I just think that's going to happen. Now, let's look at a 15-minute chart. We can look now at this pattern, and you can see I draw these lines as accurately as I can. I tend to define the head as not being this little point over here on the 9th, but rather this point on the 13th. So here's the head. That's the depth. There we measure it, and I'm being a little cautious on that measurement. There's where we break out. There's our target, 1435. Now, isn't it funny? That target is also the neckline of the triple top that was part of our larger head and shoulders pattern. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens. and I've got another thing I'm going to show you. But before we do that, let's just kind of kick back and look at this on a weekly basis. To make a long story short, we started the week off with a move on the 23rd that took the S&P above our channel support line. And we mentioned that if that move can get a little bit more steam, and I said at the time if it can get over 1410, then I think that move to 1435 is a pretty good bet. But look for 1408, 1409 to continue to offer at least some resistance. And by golly, we got resistance right off the bat on Monday. We came up, we had resistance again early on Tuesday. We had the same resistance level again around the middle of the day on Tuesday. Then we started to sell off. I think this sell-off went a little deeper than what I would have expected. But if we look on a 10-minute chart, you can see that that it was a little lower than a legitimate perfect back test of our channel line right here. But the fact is that was an intraday low that quickly reversed. So if you were looking at this neckline, for example, of this little inverted head and shoulders pattern, or you were looking, which should have served as support, or if you were looking at this descending resistance line that is now broken, you would have seen that it did break by 1392, by about 5 or 6 points. But that's that's not necessarily technically significant. As a matter of fact, on the 30-minute chart, you can see that's just a shadow of a candle down there, that when it peaked down underneath this neckline of this small inverted head and shoulders pattern. Funny, I might mention, this little head and shoulders pattern down here also has a truncated right shoulder. I don't know what that's all about. But as we look at what happened during the week, really, I think the only mistake I made was in saying look for this as being a consolidation pattern for a potential move up to 1435. I should have been a little bit more patient on this and probably made this a more symmetrical pattern. If you see what I mean right there, look at how these two lines are basically complementary angles. This is descending at the same angle that this is ascending. That might have been a wise thing to do. But on a Friday, we got a little move over this top line and then gave that move back up at the end within the last 5 minutes of trading. If you'll hold on just a second, I have not checked yet. Let me check and see what the futures are doing. All right, the S&P is up. Futures are up about 3 points. So on a Sunday night, I wouldn't put too much faith in that. I certainly wouldn't bet the farm, but this does definitely have the shape of a consolidation pattern, a symmetrical triangle at that. And if that's the case, then there's two things we can look at. The first is where this has formed off of the this low, straight up on the 28th and then sideways for 2 days. It would be pretty typical behavior to see a rally come out of this pattern and probably come up to that level. But all you can really do for sure, well, I don't want to say for sure, guys, there's nothing for sure in the markets. But when you have a consolidation pattern like this, and if it's going to break out to the upside, you can always measure the height of that small pattern and at least say from just that pattern alone, we would be looking at something around 1427. So I think that's pretty much it for this Sunday evening. We got Uh, the one little surprise was that swoon on Wednesday. I wasn't expecting anything to be quite that deep, but you could see there was a quick recovery. We got back over the top of that inverted head and shoulders neckline. As a matter of fact, at the end of the day, we started and closed even higher than we had been seeing that resistance at 1408. So I think this bodes well for at least a positive start to the week that's going to be starting tomorrow on the 3rd of December. So, folks, that is it for the weekly review ended on November 3rd. Was it the 30th or the 31st? I have to count my knuckles. End of November. And we'll be doing videos in a much more timely fashion this week as my travels are probably over for the year. So, look, I really want to thank you for your patience. You know I get these things done as quickly as I can. I feel a sense of obligation to do that, and I feel badly when I cannot get this stuff done. And I kind of feel badly tonight because here it is a little after 9 now, and I just, I thought I'd get the new system up and running, but it was not to be. Still got some more software to install, so I'll get back to that after I say goodnight to you, and thanks again.